A breathtaking cityscape dragged from the depths of a dream. This is how fans describe the very first moments of the new Chinese anime that seems poised to overshadow every other masterpiece in its path. That right there is the rumor that has been swirling among anime enthusiasts this season, and it all points to one name: Lord of Mysteries. What exactly is going on here, and how could a Victorian-flavored, steampunk-inspired fantasy outrank some of the most hyped adaptations in the power fantasy genre? Today, we are going to uncover every layer of this fascinating story, decipher exactly how this production has seized the hearts of viewers worldwide, and ask whether it truly outshines its biggest rival, Solo Leveling. In this episode, we will delve into the magical setting that blends Lovecraftian horrors with a mesmerizing Victorian atmosphere, explore how the creative team behind the show juggles intricate world-building with breakneck pacing, and grapple with pressing questions. Is the series doomed to trip over its own ambition, or is it forging a path for brand new storytelling possibilities? Let's dive in. Does that perspective grab your attention? If it does, you are not alone. The spellbinding new series, Lord of Mysteries, has already become an enormous talking point in the international anime and donghua communities. Imagine stepping into a London-esque city from an alternate reality, a place where swirling black mists creep through abandoned alleys, and mechanical contraptions clash with arcane sorcery beyond human comprehension. That is Tingen City, the fictional backdrop for a story that merges conflicting elements so effortlessly, it leaves viewers both enthralled and anxious. But the question remains, how did Lord of Mysteries pull this off so quickly, and why has it prompted so many fans to call it the ultimate rival of Solo Leveling? Let us peel back the layers of backstory, production value, and fan enthusiasm to find out. We will track the series' meteoric rise from a new release to an apparent phenomenon that is on everyone's watch list. Before we tackle the main points, let us do a quick roll call of essential facts, because the scale of Lord of Mysteries is bigger than what meets the eye. In a swift move that surprised many watchers around the world, the series went live with its first 2 episodes near the end of June. Within days of its pilot launch, it rocketed in popularity. It earned around 9.0 on IMDb and hovered near an 8.77 on MyAnimeList. Words like unprecedented visual prowess and flawless fusion of steampunk and horror popped up in countless fan threads. Perhaps the biggest surprise was how it almost immediately leaped past the anticipation for Solo Leveling, at least in some popularity charts. Now, you might wonder, is all this praise just a tidal wave of initial hype? Or does Lord of Mysteries truly deserve every bit of acclaim it is getting? There is only one way to find out. Let us take a closer look at the production process that built up this phenomenon. The studio at the helm is B.CMay Pictures, which in the past gained significant traction for Master of Diabolism and The King's Avatar. Both those titles set remarkable standards, each in its own realm. Master of Diabolism, sometimes known as Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, dazzled fans with its intricate depiction of flowing attire and otherworldly cultural aesthetics, while The King's Avatar introduced a fresh approach to three-dimensional technology for dynamic gaming battles. These cornerstones of Chinese animation gave B.CMay Pictures the perfect training ground to experiment with advanced animation techniques. So, by the time Lord of Mysteries hit the pipeline, the team was prepared to push the envelope. And push they did. Yes, we are talking about a rumored 30,000 frames per episode, an astronomical figure that promises fluid transitions, cinematic camera angles, and fast-paced sequences that never feel choppy. Step into Tingen City, and you will find yourself weaving through dimly lit alleyways glistening with rivulets of evening rain. Even the historically inspired carriages have subtle mechanical enhancements, adding that steampunk flair. Then, just when you think you have adjusted to the city's neo-Victorian charm, you are escorted through ominous corners illuminated by an otherworldly glow, hinting at cosmic horrors reminiscent of Lovecraft. The fact that all of these elements seamlessly blend into a single cohesive world is a testament to how carefully the team studied lighting, perspective, and transitional design. Almost every fan out there collectively gasped when they realized how meticulously the animators managed to switch from standard two-dimensional sequences, where faces and gestures carry emotional nuance, to specialized three-dimensional overlays that highlight special abilities, illusions, and monstrous apparitions. It is a synergy that keeps pulling viewers in, scaring them and fascinating them at the same time. And yes, it is precisely this synergy that has turned so many heads, making some fans declare Solo Leveling is visually gorgeous, but this is on another level of immersive world building. Still, major hype does not always guarantee universal praise. Lord of Mysteries faces a unique challenge. Its storyline is both epically large and structurally intricate. Based on a popular Chinese web novel by an author known as Cuttlefish, the narrative plunges us into a labyrinth of cults, hidden knowledge, supernatural potions, secret societies, and an ever-evolving power system. Readers of the novel will attest that it is not a straightforward story. Various puzzle pieces are scattered, hidden, and only occasionally revealed in subtle hints. Now, imagine the difficulty of condensing that labyrinth into anime episodes around 20 minutes long. The creative team openly admitted that the first few episodes were particularly precarious. They had to keep the momentum strong, do justice to the mesmerizing aesthetic, and throw enough interesting tidbits at the audience to get them hooked. The result so far? Many fans absolutely love the atmospheric setup and the dynamic visuals, but some purists have pointed out that a few narrative segments feel rushed or condensed in ways that make them a bit disorienting. They might say, wait, that side character's motivations in the novel took 5 chapters to detail, but here it feels glossed over in half a minute. That is where the biggest conflict arises. Does the anime's attempt at breakneck pacing hamper its storytelling potential? The director, whose name circulated in fan circles, admitted that the initial episodes were not quite what they had visualized, due to the usual constraints of production budgets, episode run times, and the general push to fit a certain structure. So, the question remains, will the rest of the series find that perfect balance between the novel's rich complexity and the demands of animated storytelling? A lot of fans seem to cut the show some slack. They feel that once Lord of Mysteries hits its stride, these early pacing hiccups will fade into memory. There are glimpses of how the creative team has integrated flashbacks, inner monologues, and carefully placed dialogues to piece together the puzzle. Already, the second episode, and presumably the third, show more confidence in building up tension step by step. If you are the kind of viewer who thrives on conspiracies, cryptic symbols, and layered magical systems, it is easy to get immersed. On the other hand, if you come in expecting a standard power fantasy extravaganza, something that Solo Leveling fans might be drawn to, you might be pleasantly surprised by how the Victorian horror twist changes the entire dynamic. And make no mistake, this entire approach to aesthetic world-building and suspenseful arcs is exactly what sets Lord of Mysteries apart from your run-of-the-mill, protagonist annihilates everything type of storyline. Rather than focusing solely on building up unstoppable might, it leans into the sense of dread that creeps up around every street corner. The horrifying illusions that lurk around Tingen City's abandoned squares can test a character's mental resilience as much as their physical prowess. It is a fresh angle that resonates with many viewers who are hungry for something a little darker, a little more methodical, and undeniably enthralling. If you have caught yourself riveted by this premise, then perhaps you already see why Lord of Mysteries became a contender for top anime or donghua release of the season. And if you are as excited as I am, consider showing your support. Drop a like or subscribe so you do not miss the chance to explore this riveting world unfolding before our eyes. Now, let us talk about another crucial detail, the stakes behind this competition with Solo Leveling. For the longest time, fans of Korean manhwa have been waiting to see Solo Leveling fully adapted into an anime. Blessed with sleek digital art, a larger-than-life protagonist, and an epic scale that touches on everything from kingdoms to near-godlike battles, it quickly became a top-tier phenomenon. So many watchers consider Solo Leveling the gold standard for modern power fantasies. But once the official Solo Leveling anime was announced, it became apparent that certain studios in China were prepared to show they could stand toe-to-toe with the budget and hype levels typical of major Japanese or Korean adaptations. That is where Lord of Mysteries staked its claim. By showcasing advanced animation techniques, a lavishly detailed universe, and a flair for combining ghoulish horror elements with a refined Victorian vibe, it took off like wildfire. People began comparing fight sequences, background details, and the overall spine-tingling composition. Some fans pointed to the novel's intricate underlying logic, praising how well the show manages close-ups of subtle character reactions, hinting that each short expression might be a premonition of hidden agendas or conflicts yet to come. But is the show perfect? Hardly. It is dealing with a conundrum. The novel's original text is massive, with an overwhelming abundance of details that track arcs, sub-arcs, side characters, and entire pantheons of cosmic powers. Scenes involving potions, tarot rituals, and psychological tension can be jarring if they are not spaced out and contextualized properly. That is why some viewers have expressed concern that a single season might barely scratch the surface of the story's real potential. Let us accept, then, that no adaptation is ever going to match the original source word for word. If you go into Lord of Mysteries expecting a one-to-one copy of Cuttlefish's novel, you might be disappointed or, at best, incessantly pausing to note every minor difference. But the show's director has emphasized that they are trying to create a distinct narrative logic, an approach that honors the novel but also stands on its own. That might mean rearranging certain scenes, condensing or expanding particular arcs, and revealing the power system in ways that serve the pacing of a visual medium rather than pure textual exposition. Think about it. Some of the best adaptations in anime history have twisted or remixed their original source in small ways to maintain that sense of flow. Lord of Mysteries stands at a crossroads where every directorial decision could raise eyebrows. Fans want fidelity, but they also want excitement. And so far, the audience seems to be giving the benefit of the doubt. The sky-high ratings speak for themselves. If the production team can refine the pacing in upcoming episodes, we could witness a genuine milestone in Chinese animation, one that not only rivals existing classics but also paves the way for more ambitious projects. In this swirl of praise and speculation, let us not overlook the setting. Tingen City is arguably one of the most captivating locales to come out of modern fantasy anime, with exteriors straight out of late 19th century Europe, complete with horse-drawn carriages that carry both everyday citizens and clandestine schemers. The fact that these illusions and specters roaming the darkest alleys seem to tie directly into the city's pseudo-industrial underbellies only adds an extra layer of dramatic tension. From cobblestones glistening under flickering gaslight to mechanical contraptions reminiscent of turn-of-the-century inventions, it is a delicately balanced tapestry that keeps viewers enthralled. Stepping into Tingen City feels like stepping into a storybook you always wanted to read but never knew existed, one where corrupt politicians, suspicious merchants, and demonic conjurers all swirl together, forging alliances or plotting betrayals. And behind every doorway, you might find the next shocking revelation. To illustrate how Lord of Mysteries sets itself apart from the power fantasies that preceded it, like solo leveling, one needs only to examine the tension that underscores each fight scene or confrontation. In more standard power-up tales, the main question revolves around how many more levels or skill tiers the protagonist can obtain. But in Lord of Mysteries, the bigger concern is, will they lose their mind or their soul in the process of claiming that next advantage? The show's power system revolves around elixirs, artifacts, and maddening knowledge that can drive a character to the brink of sanity. Mastery here is not merely about collecting experience points, but about retaining your humanity under forces that defy your comprehension. This difference resonates strongly with fans who admire murkier narratives that test ethical boundaries, personal identity, and intangible horrors. Considering the intricacy and haunting allure of the story, it is no wonder that many watchers describe their introduction to Lord of Mysteries as stepping off a ledge into uncharted territory. It reminds them that Chinese animation, or donghua, can be an innovative and boundary-pushing medium in its own right. As viewers share their reactions, often sprinkled with awe, excitement, and a dash of terror, one might even suspect that this is the kind of show poised to give rise to countless memes, heated debates, and maybe even brand new cosplays in the next big convention. If you are excited by the potential for a mind-bending plot layered with cosmic horror, you might want to hit that subscribe button so you can stay current with every weekly deep dive. Now, let us circle back to the debate over whether Lord of Mysteries truly puts solo leveling in the shade. Granted, that claim might be a bold marketing angle more than an absolute verdict. Solo leveling was, and remains, a juggernaut in its own right, boasting high-octane battles and a confidant protagonist who single-handedly wages war on monstrous threats. Its popularity soared for good reason. It is a simpler, more direct power fantasy that resonates with fans who love unstoppable heroes. Lord of Mysteries, by contrast, is murky, cautious, and psychologically charged. When it does deliver action, it is often abrupt, brutal, and loaded with tension. That difference in tone might mean that Lord of Mysteries appeals to an audience beyond typical progression or leveling narratives. Still, to call it the new champion might be premature. We are only a few episodes in, and there are many episodes yet to come. The real test lies in whether the next arcs maintain that same cinematic brilliance, spine-chilling tension, and layered storytelling, and whether the show can keep delivering that sense of epic significance without feeling repetitive or bogged down in complicated exposition. As many fans have pointed out, the novel is a vast tapestry, and certain arcs are quite dense. If B.CMay Pictures can spin those arcs into a captivating narrative that is both visually stunning and emotionally resonant, then indeed it will stand as a major milestone for Chinese animation going forward. Curiously, there is also a discussion raging online about what this means for the broader donghua industry. We have come a long way since the days when many wondered if Chinese studios could produce animation on par with Japanese powerhouses. Master of Diabolism and The King's Avatar opened the gates, garnering mainstream attention by showcasing a style that was fluid, expressive, and aesthetically unique. Now, with Lord of Mysteries, the stakes have risen to new heights. The fascinating blend of horror, steampunk, and high fantasy points to the fact that Chinese creators are willing to explore and innovate, forging a style that cannot be easily replicated or pigeonholed. Nevertheless, industry setbacks are a reality. Creatives in China often have to juggle formulaic constraints, for instance, adjusting stories to shorter or longer arcs, depending on streaming contracts. As the director recently admitted, compromises were made, especially in the pilot episodes, to condense material that might otherwise span several episodes. The good news is that many watchers can sense the passion behind each scene. There is a sense of craftsmanship at play that ensures every swirl of fog or flicker of candlelight has a purpose. Ultimately, that might be enough to keep fans energized for the long haul. What does the future hold for Lord of Mysteries? Perhaps a second or third season, possibly even spin-offs that highlight side characters, or explore the hidden mechanics behind the show's power system. We can already see fans picking apart dialogues that drop hints about looming conspiracies or cosmic forces far beyond Tingen City. If nothing else, Lord of Mysteries gives watchers the feeling that they have only glimpsed the tip of a towering iceberg, a city that is just one small piece of an even larger universe. That is the hallmark of a story that begs to be explored, mapped, and dissected over repeated viewings. We have to remember that the donghua wave itself is part of a greater international phenomenon, from new watchers discovering that anime extends far beyond Japan, to seasoned fans who want fresh experiences outside of the usual tropes. Lord of Mysteries is the perfect gateway drug, a lavish spectacle that merges horror, magic, suspense, and the mystic gloom of industrial-era ambiance. Whether or not it globally eclipses Solo Leveling, it has, without a doubt, carved its niche and sparked passionate conversation. One cannot help but be curious about how this kaleidoscope of steampunk wizardry and cosmic dread will evolve in the months to come. So, if you have not jumped aboard the hype train yet, it might be time to reconsider. The show is available through familiar streaming platforms, so you can watch the city of Tingen come alive with its swirling arcane wonders. And who can say, maybe the next episodes will polish the narrative even further, bridging those early pacing gaps and cementing the show's status as the boldest new face in the medium. Be sure to join the conversation, toss your theories into the swirling pot of fan discussions, and keep a close eye on any official announcements about extended seasons, OVA releases, or special features. The deeper this story goes, the more enthralling it becomes. Ultimately, Lord of Mysteries has already proven one critical point. It is possible to craft a donghua that simultaneously pays homage to Eastern storytelling traditions, Victorian aesthetics, cosmic horror, and cutting-edge animation technology. That is a mouthful, but it is exactly how fans describe the show's wide-reaching ambitions. Perhaps it is time for other studios to follow that lead and spin similarly revolutionary tales, forging a path that transcends borders and redefines how we perceive animation. For now, though, the spotlight remains firmly on Tingen City and its curious inhabitants, promising intrigue, terror, and a storyline that might well reshape the entire playing field for the next wave of must-watch titles. Whether you are brand new to Chinese animation or a well-versed fan, keep your eyes peeled because Lord of Mysteries has only just begun its metamorphosis.